way up. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going on track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just the 7 C's. I deal with life different.
All right, guys, so here's going to be the next little project. This one we're going to be doing just a basic underbed notch in the back. Say 2017 Silverado. This one shouldn't take too long. Like I said, we're just doing the underbed notch. Right now I got it lifted up because I'm trying to figure out how much lift we can go on the stud notch before we're hitting the bed. So I'm trying to find my tape measure if I can remember where I left it. But all we're gonna measure is the bottom, the top of the frame to the bottom of the bed, all the way up in there, and kind of see how much room I have to play with. I might have to go on the other side, measure the other side, and then just base it off of that, and we can make the notch, go from there, and then measure from the top of the bed down to the bottom of the frame rail, and that'll give me kind of an idea how much room I have to play with. So it's gonna be a little bit of a tight situation. I'm just gonna cut out everything today and like pre-weld it, and then tomorrow it should be pretty quick install. I should get it done tomorrow. However, tomorrow I might end up going to get some tools, so hopefully tomorrow, if not at the latest, I told him Sunday, I can get this done. And then this one is actually gonna, after this one, I have one that's just gonna be a little bit bigger. We haven't fully decided on what we're doing on that next one, but I'll leave the details for later on that one. So right now, let's just focus on this one. I'm gonna take my quick measurements, and I'm gonna pull out the chop saw and the steel and start cutting all my steel out. Pre-welded on my table over there. I finally got some protection for my face and my nostrils because I've been having black boogers for the last few days. So the only thing is stupid is this didn't come with any filters. I don't know why, but usually the ones, this is the same style my company orders for work, but for some reason it did not come with the filters, I don't think. So that's kind of sketched out. So yeah, at least we got the face shield. So yeah, I'm gonna start on that and get everything cut out, measurement, and I'm gonna kind of lay out the measurements here on the table, kind of show you guys what I'm doing. And if you ever want to try to build one of your own, you can always go base it off of this, or if not, just bring it to me. El Gallo built. All right, so here with the wheel off, this will be better for you guys so you can see it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to measure from the top of the lowest point of the frame to the bottom. Well, you kind of see we can go up 2 inches on the notch itself. From the bottom of the lowest point of the bed to the bottom of the frame, we're looking at about 6.5 inches. So pretty much we got pretty much a 6.5. Back here is 7. So we're gonna base it off pretty much the center of the bump stop right here. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna come over here and say, first I'm gonna draw one line. All right, so here we go. This line is gonna represent the bottom of the bed, and this center line is gonna represent the center of the axle where that bump stop is, because that's pretty much where we wanna center the whole notch. So first thing we're gonna do is do like increments of measurements. Say from the center of the notch, which is right almost in the center of this little gusset, I guess you could say, the brace for the bed. So we're gonna measure from the center of this to the back of this oval, and that is about 5 inches. So we're gonna go over here from the center of our notch steel. We're gonna mark 5 inches. Sorry, I moved the camera. I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. I keep forgetting to record what I'm actually doing. Now, we're gonna go over here. From the measurements, we're probably gonna do another 5 inches on this side because it looks like the frame on this from the center this way is pretty much even all the way over here. But on this side, it looks like it gets wider back here. So that's why I want to do measurements, kind of make sure it's going to be right where I want it. So same thing, we're going to measure 5 inches this way. Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. Do this, measure 5 inches off of that. So at those 5 inches, now it's going to be a little difficult to do it with one hand. But for example, that 5 inches was right here, right at the corner. So now what I'm gonna do, let me switch hands. Probably need to cut that light off, it's on the wrong side. So we're gonna measure from the bottom of the lowest point of the bed, right where this, not all the way at the back of the oval, but kind of where we measured that 5 inches at, and it's at 6 3/8 to the bottom of the frame. So now, we're gonna come over here, and I'm gonna have to put the camera down on here. But now on this, I'm gonna measure 6 3/8 on here, just like that. And then same thing, we're gonna measure on this the 5 inches over, and then measure how low the frame is on the bottom side. So the 5 inches would be right around here, and that, well, it looks like it's pretty much the same. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it's about the same. It's weird because of the camera angle, but for me, where I'm looking at it, it is 6 and 1/4. It's about 6 1/4. Let's just call it 6 1/8 just to be safe. And remember on the back it's 6 3/8. So the front is actually a little bit smaller. So let me measure again, kind of see where my 5 inches was. Kind of right there. So it's on the right side of the tape measure. And from my angle, it looks like it's the same, but since I'm trying to put it at the bottom of the lowest point, it's kind of throwing me off. But I'm gonna call it at 6 1/4 just to be safe. That'll give me a little bit of room on the top, which I'm still gonna go ahead and just call it a little bit smaller. Okay, so there's my 6 1/4. Because I'm gonna probably raise it up just a little bit, just to have that peace of mind. Maybe like 1/4 inch. Okay, so that would be like the measurements for the bottom of the frame rail. So now I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna draw that line. Okay, and now this is what we're working with. This line represents the bottom of the bed, the lowest point. And this is the bottom of the frame rail. So now what I'm gonna do is pretty much my notch at the top is gonna be 6 inches. So this is how wide the bottom of the notch needs to be, which might be a little overkill, but we'll be fine. So I'm gonna measure 2 inches from the bottom of the bed down, because that's how thick my square tubing is. All right, so you see here, this is gonna be the bottom of the top of the notch. All right, now here. Now all I did was I used my little deal here, and I measured because I cut the angles at 30 degrees. So that will be my 30-degree angle. So this is one piece of the notch that I got to cut out. So you can see the bottom of the notch is 6 inches. The top of the notch is going to be 8 1/4 because I have that 30-degree angle. Now all we got to do is do the same thing on this side, but do the angle of the 30 degrees. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this, and we're also going to put it at 30 degrees right there. And now I can draw my line on the bottom right there. What I did was I put the mark on the 0. Now I can take my ruler. It's probably overkill. I mean, a lot of guys probably just wing it. So now I'm going to draw my line there. So you got my line there. I'm going to measure because, let's see, how am I going to do this? Okay, I think this is in inches. No, these aren't in inches. Now what I need to do is measure it to 2 inches this way, which maybe I can do this. And do like right here. And do it at number 4 right there. All right, so I had kind of messed up on that one. And this, I had cut it too short on this side. So now this is my 2-inch mark on that. Now I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do the same thing on this side. All right, and there we have it. So this is pretty much what the notch is gonna end up looking like. So it kind of looks weird because of that extra line that I accidentally drew. But it's pretty much the basic idea. Now I kind of know an idea of what each piece is going to be, because I know this back one is actually going to be a little bit longer because of the length of the back. So now that I got these measurements, now I kind of have to guesstimate on the, or not guesstimate, but now I know how to cut it on the chop saw. So I'm going to cut all those pieces out, lay them out here, and see how they all come out. All right, so right here, I have my angle set at 30 degrees. I mean, this is not gonna be perfect, but it'll be pretty close. I mean, we always can use the grinder to grind the angles if we need to make it fit. But we got the angle set. Now I got the steel laying over here. Gonna pull this out and set it over there real quick. So as you can see, I have my tubing leveled out so it will sit flat on the chop saw itself. So now what we're going to do is cut the first one, and the top length is going to be 6.5 inches. So on here we're going to go and measure the 6.5 up top. I'm going to put the camera down for this. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but there's my mark. So at the top, we're gonna do the 6.5 inches. I don't know if I'll be able to use my little protractor here. Let's see if I can get this. And I'm gonna try to mark that 30-degree angle, kind of to help me a little bit better to see that little cut. All right, so there we go. That's gonna be better. So again, measure my 6.5 inches. And then I use my little protractor, did the 30-degree angle. Now, hopefully, it all lines up with the chop saw, which it looks like it's pretty close. So now I'm just gonna line that up, get it cut, and we'll see how it fits on the table over there. All right, so after a little bit more trimming, it didn't come out as perfect as I wanted it. And I think the main reason is that chop saw, being how it has this style of the measurements for the angle, it has so much play in it, and then I'm using this to kind of base it off on the table. Yeah, as you can see, it didn't come out exactly. This one actually came out like the other line that I made initially, but it overlaps that other one. However, I did have to go back and trim a little bit off of this and a little bit off of this, and as you can see, we are going to be right under the bed. So that is the main reason, the main thing that I was looking for. So we're good there. Yeah, so we got one now. Now with this, I can base it off of and then start making my other one. And just take the measurements off of these. And all we gotta do is, I'm gonna cut one more, start cleaning up the joints where I'm gonna weld them up, and these will be ready for tomorrow. So once I get that done, I'm gonna set it on a time lapse for you guys and start chopping up all these little pieces on my little tripod here. So after I get all these cut out, we will pick the video back up.
That's ISO. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it
shake it up. She got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound. Look at my posters, say now, I've been humble too long, yeah. Tell them all to stay calm, yeah. Tell them all to move on, yeah. Look at my posters, say now, they be lost in the sauce, yeah. Took a loss, that's your loss, yeah. Had to get my point across.
Well, the notch is cleaned up and beveled and ready to weld. So the last thing I'm going to do tonight is set you guys up on the tripod, put you all on a time lapse or something like that, and then I'm going to get to welding these bad boys and see if I can't lay some nice booger welds. Next morning, now we're gonna get ready to start trying to put these in. First thing I'm gonna do before I lower this down is I'm gonna go ahead and unplug the harness for the taillights that go to the bed. And I'm gonna go ahead and, since it's up in the air right now, go ahead and unbolt it, because these are bolted from the bottom. They're actually 4 bolts on each side, just like the 2006 GMC that I did before. I had said that there was 3, there was actually 6. 6 bolts, no, sorry, 4 bolts on each side. So I'm gonna go ahead and start unbolting this. Then what I'm gonna do is actually roll it out to where it's halfway in the garage right here. And then I'll hang my curtain that will cover the back of the cab. That'll keep any sparks from going up against the glass. And then the back of the truck will be right there, and it'll give me plenty of room to move the bed back here. And then we'll just be working up here. So gonna go ahead and start doing that and unbolting everything, and I'll pick this back up when I move it out. All right, we got it to where I need it. Now where my curtain's gonna sit, it's gonna end up covering the back of the cab and the glass. Now I think the way I'm gonna end up pulling on this one is I'm gonna take the caps on these in the corners, also in the front. I don't know if I'll do like instead in the front right here or on the side, but more than likely, I think my better option would be just to do it off of the straps on the bottom. I think that would be a little bit better of a point to pull it from. However, on this one, because it is going to be a little bit heavier, I think I'm just going to take the extra step and take the tailgate off just to save some weight off the back. And hopefully that will make it easier on the engine hoist when I go to take it off. That got a little bit sketchy, as you saw in the quick time lapse. I did have to go ahead and remove those the little mud flaps on the front end because they were getting in my way from getting over the tire. Anyways, now that we have everything off, it looks like the passenger side is going to be the only one that's not going to be a pain. This one should go quick. However, on the driver's side, it looks like we do have the brake lines, the harness that goes back to the computer, the bumper sensors and all that, and then the lock for the tailgate. And then depending on how the notch sits in there, it does look like might be pretty close to the gas tank. So if I put it right there, you see it's going to be just right. So then the other thing with this is the difficult part is it being a boxed frame. I'm wondering, I know some people, they like to put the notch on the inside of this wall, but being that the gas tank is on this side, I think what I'm going to end up doing instead is cutting the wall on the outside and welding it to the inside of this wall, because I think that would be a much easier installation, being that the gas tank is in the way. The only other way would be to drop the gas tank, and that's a whole lot of wires I really don't want to get into today, because he is trying to get this done. He needs this truck by tomorrow. So I'm gonna end up now blocking the front wheels, taking the wheels off, because I'm gonna need access on the inside. So really just that one wire on that side, and then just moving these all out of the way. I really need to go get a tap so I can drill and tap some threads into the metal so I can relocate these brackets. So that's what's gonna be the plan now, is gonna jack it up, take the wheels off, start marking my center point of the axle, start marking where the notch is gonna go itself, and then all right, so after a nice little menudo birthday lunch, finished this right before I went in for lunch, got this one pretty much knocked out. It should be pretty cool now, still a little warm, but we got the driver's side, which to me I thought was going to be the more difficult side. So got this finished up. I think what I'm going to do, I was thinking of drilling a hole in the side of it to fit this, but I thought it was like one of these smaller ones. I think I'm just going to have to figure out a way just to like kind of tie it up, which he really isn't that low right now, but we can mess with it later whenever he drops it low. So gonna let this cool down, and then I might actually go ahead and spray the paint on it since it's still warm. That way it dries a little bit better, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that side. I know I didn't show much video on that side, but I just kind of got ahead of myself and got started. But that one is pretty much finished up. Gotta get this little wire out of the way. But yeah, that one's pretty much sitting right where it's supposed to be. Now I gotta do pretty much repeat the same step over on this side. Hopefully it goes a little bit quicker. So I'm gonna get started on that. Got the other one all welded up, knocked out. The other one's already I got sprayed a little bit of paint on it. So that's dry. I'm just gonna let this cool down a little bit more. Still pretty warm. Spray that, but while that dries, while that cools down, I'm actually gonna try to go ahead and cut the brace off of the bed in there so it clears the notch. Gotta do that on both sides, and then once that's done, spray paint on that, come back, spray paint on this, and we will pretty much be done. And tomorrow we're actually getting another interesting job. So you're gonna have to stay tuned for that. So, but we'll just go ahead and focus on this and go ahead and start making my cuts on the notch. But I gotta pick up all my garbage first, and we will get to cutting the notch on this bed. This is the paint that I use, if you're wondering. Rust-Oleum, high performance enamel. Dries fast, so this is what we need. So that's what I put on it, and then I always go over it with my grease remover. All right, well, everything's pretty much painted. I got all the sensors and brake lines pretty much moved up out of the way. He's not so low that it's gonna touch any of that, but I went ahead and just pulled it up out of the way to get some clearance into the notch, because he does carry some wheels in the back every now and then for the work that he does. So we got the bracket put in and pretty much lined up where it needed to go, put the bolts back in it. Luckily it cleared, so pretty much we're done back here. Already cut the cross member in the bed, spread some paint on both sides. So now we are ready to finally reassemble it, put the bed on, and put everything bolted back down. So first I'm gonna lower the truck back down so I can have some height, and then move my curtain up there, and we'll start start reassembling this thing.